Good morning, welcome to TERRA at Home. I'm here with Laura Bittner from TERRA, and we are talking about indoor holiday plants.
Yes.
And we're going to actually be doing some potting and talking about, I guess, you know, the benefits and the care of winter plants, Christmas plants, particularly poinsettias.
Yes, particularly.
Yes, particularly, and all the different types of poinsettias there are, but also adding various other plants to it as well, rather than just a poinsettia.
Yeah. Poinsettias are the traditional Christmas plant, but there are so many other plants that say Christmas, and whether it's the plant itself or in color, it says Christmas. So we can use poinsettias, we can use amaryllis, we can use combinations of the different plants and really make something beautiful, whether it's for your home, hostess gift, Christmas gift, anything like that.
It's actually always really nice to give a plant, I think, as a gift. For some reason, I think it's a really nice thing. People, even if they have 5 poinsettias in their house, it's always just nice to have one more plant for some reason.
It definitely is.
So let's talk a little bit about poinsettias, because I've, I was mentioning before that I tend to overwater them. I let them get dry, and then I water them too much, and then they don't like that. So.
Right, and that can be a huge issue with poinsettias, but one that can be easily remedied. So if we are actually planting into soil, in this case we're going to do a little bit of a mixed planter, we would put a thin layer of rock down below that can act as a water holding area for any excess water. So in that case, the little bit of rock is a good idea, and then your plants won't sit in water. If, however, you just want to drop it into another vessel, you would just simply take it in its green pot, drop it in, beautiful, looks like it's planted in there.
It does, it's easy that way.
But once you water it, you can actually take the poinsettia out.
Without it being stuck in its pot. And basically you're going to drain that water from underneath, right?
So you would take it out and drain the water out from underneath.
Okay.
Hopefully,
and that's the thing. And I think that's ideal, right? And or again, just having them drain in your sink or whatever, just to make it, again, so they're not sitting in its water.
Yeah, you have to remember
the leaves will start falling off and everything.
They will, yeah. And you have to remember that poinsettias actually come from desert areas of Mexico, and its conditions are hot and dry there. So just have to be careful to mimic those.
Yes.
And along with that, not allowing them to sit near cold drafts, near open doors or windows, patio doors that may be open on a holiday weekend when you've got company over and the oven on.
Yes.
So just take care
to
keep them away.
They like light as well.
Oh yes,
because I've done that too, where they've just been in, like, say, a powder room where you don't really even have natural light or that much of it, and they really want just some warmth and some sun.
You got it.
And just moderate water.
Yep,
really.
you got it for sure.
It's taken me years to figure this out.
But you got it. That's the key.
Okay, so we're gonna do some planting right now, and again, put together rather than just a poinsettia, adding some of our other cute little
we're gonna take the traditional beautiful red poinsettia, add white cyclamen and some frosty fern down here, which are a great little accent plant for our mixed planters. I'm gonna just dip down here, grab some soil.
Okay. So again, this is always nice to do, and we'll have variations in the store as well that you can just pick up, and again, easy as a gift for people. But this is always, some people still like to be able to get their hands in the soil.
Yep, me, I do.
When it's late fall or winter.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. We need that. We need that in the winter months. Okay, so we've got our poinsettia here. We're going to squeeze the roots a little bit so that we can fit everything in our pot here. Make some room. Put him in. Then we'll take our cyclamen.
Here, I'll give you that.
Thank you.
You're the official planter.
Yeah. Give him a little bit of a squeeze, and then put him on in there. And again, I mean, you kind of choose plants that speak to you, whether you want to buy the plants and do it yourself or have us here at TERRA plant it for you. We can do either of those. But you want to choose plants that speak to you, that are your colors, will match your home, or whoever you're giving it to as a gift for.
Well, that's the thing, and it's in, if you're creating a theme through your house, particularly if you have a lot, some of our planters from the outside. Again, we've been talking about that, having planters done for you outside, or doing your own planters again with your fresh cut greens. And if you wanted to create a theme of color from the outside in, it's all just really taking that into account, right? And especially when it seems to be you have the biggest focus on your home, when more and more people are coming over and seeing all these lovely little plants and appreciating what you've done.
Yeah, so you got it. Definitely the time for
really
entertaining.
Nice. I like that.
So there's a quick one with the poinsettia, cyclamen, and frosty fern.
So again, water applies the same to these plants as well, so that they all can.
Yep. You don't want them sitting in water, but you don't want them to really dry out either. So any of those options are good. I'm just going to put this one down here.
Okay. All right, and then we've got, again, always just choosing and going along with some of the metallic themes and just making it very Christmassy is nice, right? And,
yeah,
and doing some other options for
definitely.
planting.
Yeah, so we will take this gold one here
Okay.
and do a little bit of soil again, excuse me.
We should mention we also have these cool little guys too. These are great because especially if
Yes.
you're giving gifts as well, they add a nice little theme to them as
Yeah,
well.
exactly.
It's funny how these add to it. They make them look so good sometimes.
I know. We'll throw him in this one.
Okay.
So I'm going to grab the red rose poinsettia. You can see that it's a little bit
It's almost like
different.
A curly leaf,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah, they're very cute.
So we'll put him in again. Squeeze those roots to allow for a little bit more room. They'll spread out, they'll take over, and be absolutely fine.
What else do you need?
Let's go for the pink cyclamen.
Okay, this guy?
Yep.
Light
And
light
another
color?
frosty fern. Thank you.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't have to be too fancy. But, and pink and red actually is.
This just helps and makes people just kind of think outside the box a little bit,
Yeah,
right?
you got it. Yeah. So there we go. And then we'll backfill that a little bit, but there is our cute little pick.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
And
So
you know,
very
again,
simple.
also filling it too. I thought sometimes people go a little sparse when they're doing these things.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid that. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily thought you could fit 3 plants in there, but you do. Like fill it
Yes.
up, right? Because again,
That's the
this
key.
isn't going to have a chance to be growing like some of our plants all summer, and this is it.
Yeah.
This is how it is.
You
so
got it.
you've only got a short period of time
so
during the holiday
squeezing those
season.
roots to add a little bit more space in there is always a good idea.
All right.
Now with our beautiful silver urn, we can just again drop something in. Here is a nice cream color one that I really like.
Yeah,
There you go.
exactly.
It's that simple.
And again, as you were saying, using the amaryllis is beautiful at Christmas time as
Yes.
well. Those are actually really great gifts, even when they haven't bloomed yet, because you can watch the
And you
blooming
wait
process.
for it. And you can
Yes.
actually see like that grow time is so quickly on the amaryllis flower that you can look at it and then look back a couple hours later and you swear it's grown.
I
in
love that.
time.
That's what I love, and it's,
Yeah.
the timing of it is so perfect sometimes
Yeah.
for Christmas. It's just fantastic. So
Yeah.
again, that's the great thing about Terras, of course. Here, you can everything from outside in, and talking about your outside urns to your inside, plant life and greens, but then also this, you could just fill your house up and make it look just gorgeous and beautiful.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I
for
love it.
sure.
I love it. And
yeah.
again, what the best part about it is if you don't feel like doing any of it yourself, you guys
we will
can
do it for you. Exactly.
So bring in your themes, bring in your ideas, bring in your pots even,
Yep.
right?
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
Of course, we have tons of pots here as
Head
well.
on over to the potting bench and
Yeah.
tell the designers what you're looking for, and they can do it up and customize it for you. No problem.
Love it. Well, thank you very much. Some
My
good
pleasure.
information and getting yourself ready for Christmas. Don't overwater your poinsettia. Like me, I won't do it this year again. I promise.
Good.
I think
You
I
learned.
finally learned my tips, right?
Excellent, yeah.
All right, and maybe I'll actually go out of my way and do something a little bit more creative like this versus just a poinsettia. And that's it for now. We'll be back with more Terra Home.
Terra, where color lives.
Heritage perennials. Look for us in the blue pots.
Good morning, welcome back to Terra at Home. We're in Westdale this morning and we're at Allure Fitness and I'm here with Michelle and this is your place. You own this place, you're also an instructor as well and a personal trainer. And let's talk a little bit about Allure Fitness and how this all came to be for you.
Okay, so I opened the studio about 4 years ago, and before that I had started taking pole dancing classes just for something fun to do. I didn't like going to the gym or you know, any other kinds of classes. So I thought I'd try something new one day, and once I tried it, that was it. I was hooked. You know, the classes were so much fun and made such a difference in my life. I wanted to do it for other people. So.
That's really cool, and that's the thing. A lot of times people with fitness, some people are very content going to the gym every day and doing the treadmill or elliptical, and that's fine, and that's all they do. But some people want variety, and some people want to have a bit of a challenge and just a change when they walk into their fitness facility. So that's what this brings you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So of course we'll talk about the association, of course, with pole dancing, what people think it's for, and that's the only thing. But really, it is all about the fitness, because it is actually really hard on your body and really like gives you a really good workout head to toe.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's a great part about it. So fitness aspect, give me an example of what it can do for you.
It really does offer you a whole body workout. Obviously, because you are using your upper body to hang from the pole. I mean, you're hanging from your hands for a number of spins, and you're using your core to lift you up. Your upper body really does experience an intense workout, but we make sure to throw some lower body workout in your classes as well.
Sure, absolutely. And that's the thing, is you're basically pulling yourself right up off the ground and supporting through here and with,
Exactly.
So that's okay. So before we like scare people off that, you know, you do not have to know how to pole dance before you come in here.
No, not at
it's all about being a beginner and learning it from scratch, how to do it.
That's exactly it. We start everyone at the same spot, and we go into it with the thought that you haven't even seen a pole before, let alone touched a pole or spun around a pole,
of course,
or done anything.
Well, we have Lauren back here, and Lauren's going to give us sort of an example, some demonstrations on some of the first steps, the beginner steps, and we'll show off some of the advanced stuff too, right? Okay, so where would we start with, Lauren? If you're first coming into a class, and your first class, and you're like, I don't even know what to do with a pole.
So your first class, we would start you with a 360 spin. It's a pretty basic move. It gets you from beside the pole onto the pole and gets you comfortable with, you know, turning your body and moving your body, because they're not regular movements that you would do.
Yeah, and you know, and again, that bringing that back to, you know, feeling very feminine and strong woman, and it's all about these moves, and again, it makes you feel sexy too, right? That's what this is all about too. Okay, and so what else?
We would also start the girls with sexy pull-ups. It's up for debate whether they think they're sexy or not when they start to do them.
I think they are. The way she's moving, she's like practically floating.
Exactly. Nice pointed toes and a smile, and it all looks nice and easy.
All right, what else?
So as we go through the first level, we would go into a reverse hook.
Okay. Okay, so slowly getting them off the ground, right? Here and there, and
exactly.
Yeah. Do you ever have people just like wipe right out and lay on the ground?
It's pretty rare.
Really?
It's pretty rare, yeah.
I just picture it happening all the time.
More often than not, people are scared to let go of the ground.
Yeah,
So,
I can imagine.
Yeah, we've got modifications to get them there.
Okay, so let's start to show off maybe some other moves as we start to get more and more advanced, and of course that strength starts to come in your upper body and your core.
Yeah, so as we start to move through the levels, we turn into different positions on the pole. So we would do things like a diamond spin.
All right, let's see, Lauren. Oh, cool. So and that's the thing part, is she makes it look so easy, right? But again, you're pulling away, you're keeping your body away from the pole. That's a lot of upper body work there.
It is, definitely. And then we move into a basic invert.
Okay, here we go. Upside down, cool. This must scare people at first. That's awesome.
It's a scary thought, but by the time they get there, they're all really
ready for it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love
they're
it.
ready. They're excited.
Okay, what's the hardest move you know, Lauren? Do
I've
it.
been working on this for a long time.
See if she can do it right now. How much fun is that? Wow, that's awesome. That's hard to do because you're literally you're especially with your lower body being above your arms like that. Look at that. Woo! I love it. That is so fun. So cool. And again, that's the thing. You work towards it. And roughly how long is a class?
They're all 50 minutes.
Okay.
Our courses run for 6 weeks. So over those 6 weeks, you learn
develop
new stuff every week.
Yeah, and you can just keep coming back. Yeah. And I imagine you incorporate some music and have some fun. That's cool. I love it. All right. So now we've been looking at this hammock behind us here. So what is this?
We also offer suspension yoga classes, and suspension yoga offers a number of different benefits. One of the big ones is that people often experience pressure in their joints in a regular yoga class.
Yes.
You know, if you've ever been to one, sometimes you find your wrists get sore in downward dog.
You're right. You'll find the instructor often will adapt for people because that pressure in the joints.
Exactly. So this allows you to get into those poses without necessarily putting all of that weight on your joints. So it makes things a lot more attainable.
All right. So how you get in there?
So Lauren can show us like a basic downward dog pose. And she'll show you that hammock actually lifts her hips up and back. So her hands and her feet, I mean, really, she's a lot more weightless.
Oh, that's so cool.
We have standing splits that she can do from here as well.
Oh, we're making you do standing splits. We're just pushing you forward here a little bit in the advanced scene. I love this. This is fun. Oh, isn't that great? That's great though, but again, it does actually help. It assists you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so when you're allowed to push yourself a little bit more because you feel like you've got that, that's a great idea. I think it's really neat. You know, I've seen it before, but I've never actually had a chance to do it. So again, just lots of options to do.
There's a couple other benefits to it too.
Tell me.
We use the system for some resistance training. So you may have heard of a TRX system.
Yes.
So in a similar manner to that, you know, it does have handles, so you can use it in the exact same type of way that you would use a TRX system. But this hammock as well allows you for a little more freedom and a little more comfort while you do it. So do you think you could do a plank in there?
That'd be fun.
Yeah. So we start our students in, you know, a regular plank here, and it does offer them, you know, an opportunity to be at a completely level height, and it's a pretty nice workout just hanging out there. But we also like to make them, you know, do some more difficult things as they get more used to it.
Do that.
So you
there
can
we
do
go.
crunches there, side crunches.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's really quite
It's
a
amazing the
valuable tool.
versatility right behind it.
So it, you know, the system also allows you to stretch a little deeper than you would because there's not a floor in your way.
Right.
And of course, we get to go upside down.
Yeah, upside down is always fun, right? And it's good. It's good for you to be upside down.
It is.
There we go. Ah, bonus. You're just high enough off the ground there, Lauren. I love it. Well, again, of course, people can just come to the studio and find out more information on how to be part. And again, all part and parcel of being, you know, being fit is taking different classes. So why not to incorporate all of it, right? And
exactly.
Do a little pole dance in, and don't be afraid because it's something you just got to try. And as you said, you fell in love with it, right?
Exactly.
That's the space. So thank you, Lauren, for showing off your stuff.
Thank you.
Fun. Very good. Thank you, Michelle. And of course, again, located down in Westdale, and again in the west suburb of Hamilton. That's for now. We'll be back with more.
TERRA, where color lives.
You've sat under them and built forts in them. You've swung from them and fell out of them. You've even fallen in love under them. Trees have always held a special place in our hearts and memories. A natural beauty, trees will grow with you and your family and bring color and nature into your world. For your assurance of quality, look for trees and shrubs with the Medallion plant tag. Medallion plants, locally grown, the pride of Niagara.
Good morning. Welcome back to TERRA at Home. We're in the TERRA kitchen here with Chef Iain and making another hearty dish as we move from fall and I don't even want to talk about winter, but eventually it'll come. So this is where I was here in Southern Ontario, hunker down and do what we need to do, and this is awesome.
Hearty beef stew.
Love it. Okay.
Relatively easy. Again, the ingredient list is pretty small. Essentially, I have some flour. I've added just a little pinch of cayenne pepper. And what I'm doing is I'm putting it into a fry pan with a little bit of canola oil. Again, I want to use canola oil for the smoke point. I don't want to, if I was to use olive oil, I would find that I would burn. quite quickly.
Okay, and you don't really, it's not healthy, I've heard, to take olive oil to too high of a point, right?
It changes the level of the oil itself.
Okay.
The
So you're
best
using like a stewing beef, right?
stewing beef,
basically,
boneless
for the
stewing beef.
stew?
I trim out some of the silver skin. And the best advice that I could give when it comes to this particular part is just to leave it alone. You want to let the meat caramelize. So again, just leave it alone. Take a wee peek every now and then, but leave it to its own devices anyway.
Good to know.
So ultimately, when the time comes, we're going to start turning it over and browning all sides. And again, the flour actually starts to add as a thickener when we add all our different vegetables and our tomato paste and tomato puree.
Okay.
So just doing
That's what's great about a stew is you mentioned that it is, you know, there are very few ingredients, and you can make a really great hearty tasting meal.
Yeah, you can't really go wrong.
Too much. It's pretty straightforward.
You even have the option of doing it in a slow cooker if you need to, you know, leave for the day or the morning for work. This is the ingredients that you can put aside into the slow cooker, and it'll be ready for you by the time you get home.
So basically, you could do this. A lot of the slow cookers have those inserts that you could prepare it the same way, just as this, right? Cook the meat the same amount of time.
Same amount of time.
Okay.
Again, with the slow cooker.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Just the important thing is the caramelization or getting those brown sides. So when the time comes that it's sitting in the liquid, it'll break down faster and you'll have a more tender product.
Okay.
So to speed things along, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the all-important onions. I use a Vidalia or a sweet onion, and I'm going to add that into the mix. I've also got some carrots and some parsnips. Again, some sweet root vegetables. Okay. And of course, just a little bit of garlic. I have 2 cloves of garlic, and I'm just going to incorporate.
So if you were using a slow cooker, would you continue to do this method just to kind of, again, create that caramelization a little bit, right?
I would brown the meat. First and foremost, put it into the slow cooker. I would add all my ingredients wet and dry. And then, like I said, you step away.
Let it go. Okay.
There you go.
All right. Good.
From there, I'll turn up the heat. I'm just going to add my crushed tomatoes. It's a nice base. And again, some of our beef stock.
Beef stock this time. So you're not adding any Guinness to this, are you, my fellow Irish friend?
I'm so sorry, no. I do have a wonderful recipe for the Guinness Irish stew. But
we'll do that, and we'll leave that for St. Patty's, right?
Leave that for St. Patty's, absolutely. Most importantly, we're just going to leave it to slow cook. At some point, we're going to transfer it to a pot, and just to let it continue out. I'm going to add a little bit of flavor base with some sprigs of rosemary. Again, some wonderful earthy flavors. And I'm going to add just a little bit of salt and pepper.
Okay, so you are going to add the salt and pepper now. Okay.
Yeah, at this point. There you go.
Very good.
And whether you wanted to do it in a big casserole dish or we want to do, today I'm going to do it in little individual servings. Again, it really depends on how you want to present your dish.
Now, I guess as an option as well, you could use a combination maybe of this puree tomato, but you could also use whole tomatoes, right? So if you wanted to get something a bit
more chunkier,
chunky.
Absolutely. Yeah, and again, there's no written rule. If you know the family likes mushrooms, add mushrooms to it. You can add any sort of vegetables that you like. I go with a base. And I work from there.
Right,
Depends on what you're looking for.
So again, you can get into a lot of the root vegetables that we see as we move from the fall through to the winter, and whatever you have on hand. Again, getting into, you know, parsnips and squash, whatever you wanted to add, right?
Most definitely.
Yeah, sweet potato.
Most definitely sweet potatoes as well, of course.
That's really good. Okay, very good. So basically at this point, we're just going to let this
kind of sit and meld in its flavors.
Okay.
Beg your pardon.
Now, one thing I wanted to ask you, of course, we're using, again, beef as we're making a beef stew. When you're using, say, another meat, say we're using pork, are there any other changes that you would kind of take on this? Say, because some people don't want to eat pork, chicken, that type of thing.
I would want to use something hearty.
Yes.
I would, again, lean. I would lean towards, again, a beef stock. If you were making a chicken pot pie or a chicken stew, obviously with chicken stock, pork stocks and things like that, they tend to be a little fatty, and I wouldn't necessarily use a pork stock.
But you can use a variance in meats, different types of meats, and
Yeah,
go from
vegetable
there, right?
stock as well, of
Yes.
course.
Okay.
Most
okay.
definitely.
All right. So this is actually pretty straightforward and good. Now, something again, accompaniment that you would make yeast, either biscuits or.
We talked about it before.
Yes.
Again, you can do biscuits on the side or on top. I've got families that also enjoy the wontons just floating inside. Again, today I'm going to do a mashed potato topping.
Okay.
Absolutely
Or a
delicious.
puff pastry is good.
Puff pastry, always good. You can make yourself a little shepherd's or a Guinness pot pie. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So what we'll do, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more about this and some of the variables. And yes, the mashed potatoes I think sounds like a good idea for extra hearty meal. We'll be right back.
Terra, where color lives.
Welcome back to Terra at Home. Again, making another lovely comfort meal. Some stew here today, some beef stew. And okay, let's just go over the basics again. We were talking, Ian, that it really is just quite straightforward making a stew. Simple ingredients, nothing major.
Not a long list of ingredients at all. The first and most important is the browning of the beef.
Yes.
We had a fry pan, a little bit of canola oil. We dusted the beef with a little flour and cayenne pepper. What was important was to just leave it alone, let the beef actually caramelize, because when it has the chance to sit in its own sort of juices, and again with the tomato juice and with regards to the stock, it has a chance to break down a little bit better, so it'll be a much more tender meat. This is again something that you're going to keep on your stovetop or in your slow cooker for hours and hours, so it really does need the time to break down.
And that's the thing, is I think the worst part is when you've made a stew and that the beef is chewy.
Chewy, absolutely.
So that's just somebody would be
it needs to just have somebody's been impatient and they're pulling it off the slow cooker, or they're pulling it off the stove just a little faster. It really does need to be left alone.
Okay.
Again, a chance to meld with all the other flavors. We've added some carrots, we've added some parsnips. Again, I also went with rosemary, a very earthy sort of flavor.
Yes.
It goes hand in hand
really
with
does
beef
actually go
nicely.
hand in hand. Yep.
So, and again, I mean, it is a blank slate. I mean, everybody and mom has a different recipe and the things that you can add, whether it's potatoes and mushrooms and things like that. But this is just a starting point. Talked about an accompaniment, you know, biscuits or dumplings or wonton. I again am going to do like a little mashed potato topping.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's
So
really
when
cool.
you're putting your stew over top of mashed potatoes, do you make your mashed potatoes the same way? Would you add the butter and
That's really good.
Or would you
what I
keep
do
it more basic?
when it comes to my mashed potatoes, I cut my potatoes smaller, put them into the rolling boil. When it comes to incorporating my milk and my butter, I actually warm my milk and butter up, because when you add the cold ingredients to the hot potato, it tends to clump. And you get that sort of glassy sort of look and feel.
Yes, you
so if you warm your butter and you warm your cream, and then you incorporate that into your hot potato, you get a nice silky, satiny, smooth sort
That's
of
a good
texture with
tip.
your potato.
I'm glad I asked.
Every once in a while, I do
You
have
come
them.
up with these good things once in a while. We know what, we're actually going to keep you around, I think.
Thank you.
Aw.
That'd be nice.
At least for a little while. No, just
There you
kidding.
go.
I know. Okay. All right. So why don't we plate this, and then again, this is just such a wonderful hearty meal. And now also we should tell people what you put together here.
Well, it's just a little bit of garnish that's going to go on top of our potatoes. What I did was I took some of my carrots and my parsnips from my recipe, and I took a potato peeler and I made ribbons,
I love
and
that.
I put them in a deep fry. So it sort of turns into like some
Aren't you fancy?
decorative grasses. It looks kind of fancy, doesn't it?
Recipe can be found at terragreenhouses.com, just as a reminder. And again, just depends how much mashed potatoes you like, but this looks lovely. There you go, fancied up.
There you go.
And this, how is it that you see, true chef, he made stew look really fancy. That's it for now. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, guys.